And Janet Dunn. Isaiah Brady, son of Michael and Tracy Brady. And Heather Johnson, daughter of Doug and Charity Johnson. Please recognize these outstanding scholars for their hard work and effort. And now I invite Mr. Brad Hall, our superintendent, to the podium for an introduction.
Anxo Perez graduated from Bellefontaine High School in 1993. He came to Bellefontaine High School as a foreign exchange student from Spain and lived with the Chris and Kathy Faust family. Upon graduating from Bellefontaine High School, he enrolled in Eastern Mennonite University, where he played soccer and received a Bachelor of Arts in 1997. During the next 4 years, he stayed on the East Coast and acted as a translator for the Supreme Court of Virginia, the U.S. Senate, and the FBI. Prior to 9/11, he returned to Europe and worked for United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland. He began a career in acting and became fluent in 9 languages. He has also mastered a number of musical instruments and composes, directs, plays, and sings. He recently released an album entitled Muy Happy Happy and has signed a deal with Sony Music. In 2009, he interpreted President Obama's first inauguration speech for the country of Spain. Anxo formed a company called 8 Belts, which currently employs 100 people that guarantees it can teach Spanish speakers fluent Mandarin Chinese. It now teaches English to Spanish speakers. He has clients in 50 countries, including Spain's ambassador to China. He received the 2013 Entrepreneur of the Year award from the largest professional services network in the world. His success with 8 Belts prompted one of Spain's largest publishers to ask Anxo to write a book. He wrote the 88 Steps to Success. Within 50 days after publishing, it became the best-selling book in Spain. The profits from the book support an orphanage in China. In 2014, he received the Europa European Citizen of the Year award, and in 2015 was named Person of the Year by a prominent Spanish newspaper. It is my pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Anxo Perez.
On behalf of myself and the other honorees and their families, I want to thank you for this distinguished award. I come from Madrid, Spain. I've come specifically to be here with you today. Madrid is the second most beautiful city in the world. Bellefontaine, Ohio is #1. Success is like a swan. If I ask you to picture a swan, probably most of you would imagine the head, the neck, the feathers, maybe the swan swimming on a lake, but that's only 50% of the swan. Under the water are the legs, doing all the work that has allowed the swan to get to where the swan is. While the world focuses on the visible part, the glamorous part, the head, the neck, and the feathers, I prefer to focus on the work inside. Not the glamour, but the effort. After having lived in several countries and having learned 9 languages, I saw that the ways languages were taught, irrespectively of the country, irrespectively of the language, had large room for improvement. I saw lots of mistakes that could be improved, and I started to research how to solve each and every one of those mistakes. The result of that was that I founded my company, 8belts.com, and it became the first method worldwide allowing any person to speak a language in less than 8 months. We were recognized for it prominently, and in just 4 years we have grown more than 3,000%. We're present in 50 countries, and we employ more than 100 employees. I have been interviewed by the press more than 600 times. But all that is the glamorous part. The methodology took more than 40,000 hours of research. And during my first year in business, I had no weekends and I had no vacation time. That represents the legs of the swan. And this is my first tip that I'd like to share with you today. And that tip is, don't admire success, admire effort. One day I learned that if you want a bigger prize, you have to be willing to pay a bigger price. A few years ago, I was sitting on that very chair that you guys are sitting on today, graduating just like you from this school, just like you. If I could talk to the Anxo, that's me, from before, and tell them what I didn't know back then that I know today, these are the 4 secrets that I would share with that person, and these are the 4 secrets I would share with you today. Secret number 1, life is a series of dare to moments. These are times when life looks you in the eye, throws you a dare to moment, and asks, are you going to say yes and go for it? Or are you going to say no and stay in your comfort zone? A greater amount of success. But then you might say, Anxo, that's great, but what can I possibly do to overcome my fears? If that's your case, I have good news for you. I have a formula which I have named the formula anti-fear. That formula says, dare to dare, because if it goes bad, it will last a second. But if it goes well, it will last a lifetime. By the way, this works also for flirting. If it goes bad, you got to slap. If it goes well, it'll last a lifetime. I'll actually tell you a story. This is out of the script, off the script, but I like to get off the script. Once I was in Madrid, I didn't know anybody, and I just moved back into Spain. And I was riding the metro, and there was this beautiful Chinese girl to my right who was basically asking for someone to come and talk to her in Mandarin Chinese. I thought that was my dare to moment. And my Mandarin Chinese at the time was not very good. I was still only a beginner. So I turned to her and I said, 你好，我叫Anxo，我想跟你说话，我觉得你非常非常漂亮，你可以跟我说话吗? Did you guys like the pickup line, or would you change the word? So the Chinese girl turns over and she turns her back on me. And I'm like, excuse me, I mean, it took a lot of boldness to actually come and talk to you Mandarin Chinese. You could at least have the dignity to reply to me. She turns to me and says, I'm Japanese. Life is a series of dare to moments. If it goes well, it will last a second. If it goes bad, it will last a lifetime. Actually, it was the other way around. If it goes bad, it will last a second. So anyway, this is secret number 1. Let me now turn to secret number 2. I'm going to tell you how to make $1 million in just 1 minute. And actually, I can spare you the final 59 seconds. All I need is 1 second. This is how to make $1 million in just 1 second. If I asked you, is there anything that you would change about the way you look today? Chances are, most of you would say yes. But if we fast forward to 20 or 30 years, if somebody invented a pill that you could take that would cost $1 million, that would make you look the way you look today, chances are you would take it. So, all you have to do is enjoy the way you look today and save $1 million. If I keep you from being $1 million poorer, automatically you will be $1 million richer. Stop agonizing about the way you look. I've been there, we've all been there. It's less important than you all think. The way you look today will be worth $1 million in a few years' time. Secret number 3. When I decided to come to the States and leave behind friends and family on my own, I was only 15 years old. I'm sure you can imagine that for a 15-year-old to come across the ocean and to leave all your comfort zone behind was very difficult. I wrestled with this decision for a long time. Sometimes I couldn't sleep at night, just wondering if I was making the right choice or the wrong choice. And people ask me, how were you able to say yes and go? And what I said was, the straw that broke the camel's back was this secret. Secret number 3. Treasures are found away from home. There's an amazing and beautiful world out there, and it's yours for the taking. Now, how many of you think that the problem is not having a desire to fly away, but actually convincing your parents to let you go? Is that the case? Well, don't worry if that's your case. For that too, I have a perfect trick. And the perfect trick is, whenever you get home, you can use this, you can negotiate with your parents. It works 100% of the time. And these are the magic words. Mom, Dad, I love you, but no bird was ever born to stay in its nest. So I encourage you to learn foreign languages and use them as the keys that unlock their respective countries. When you don't know the language of a country, to you, that country is as if it was locked. When you learn its language, that country becomes unlocked. Of course, you might not need to, because I've heard you guys are all multilingual. Is that right? Si os hablo en español, quizá hay algunos que habléis español, algunos hayáis aprendido un poco de español, y me podéis decir, hola. So maybe that means that you guys have to come to Spain, discover our castles, go to Latin America, discover the beauty of that continent. But of course, il y a peut-être des gens ici qui peuvent parler français aussi, n'est-ce pas? Il y a peut-être des gens qui adorent le français. Peut-être vous devez parler le français et aller en France. What language was that? French. Il y a peut-être des gens qui peuvent vous dire bonjour. So maybe you guys should go to France. And maybe you should see the Eiffel Tower at least once in your life. Or maybe you should go and visit French-speaking Africa. Beautiful part of the world. Forse c'è qualcuno che possa parlare italiano. Io adoro l'italiano, mi sembra la lingua più bella del mondo, veramente una lingua incredibile. Forse c'è qualcuno che possa parlare italiano, mi possa dire ciao. So maybe you should go to Pisa and see the tower. Maybe you go to Rome and see the Colosseum. Vielleicht können wir ein bisschen auf Deutsch sprechen. Vielleicht können Sie sagen, hallo. What language was that? That was German. So maybe you should go visit beautiful Switzerland, Austria, Germany. Eu também adoro português do Brasil. Tenho sotaque do Brasil. Brasil é uma coisa incrível. Vocês deveriam andar para o Brasil. Também para Portugal. Eu adoro português do Brasil. Talvez você me falar, olá. What language was that? That was Brazilian Portuguese. You will love Lisbon in Portugal and Ipanema in Brazil, Ipanema Beach. Мне очень нравится русский язык. Я думаю, что русский язык очень хороший, очень красивый. Наверное, вы говорите по-русски, пусть скажете «Привет». And what language was that? That was Russian. And of course, I invite you to see Red Square, Moscow, Belarus, the Ukraine. A few months ago, I was giving a talk in Kazakhstan. I did it half in English, half in Russian. And last but not least, now you guys are gonna make sure that you make yourselves look good. 我觉得汉语非常好。如果你们应该说汉语非常有用，我觉得你们应该去中国学汉语，因为汉语非常有用。应该说你好。And what language was that? That was Mandarin Chinese. Of course, you will have to see and visit the Great Wall at least once before you die. Big round of applause to you because you are indeed multilingual. I don't believe in the Facebook culture. What does that mean? I don't believe in perfect friends, perfect trips, and perfect parties. So that world doesn't exist. That world's unreal. It's only virtual. And that means that there will be times in your journey when you will feel down and you'll feel weary. And for those times, I also have a formula. This formula is based on a word which happens to be magical. It has the power to get you out of any difficult situation. And in fact, it is the word with most solidarity, with most humility, and with most healing power. That word is gratitude. And the formula is called the 360 formula. This is how the formula works. If you're ever feeling down and you don't know how to get out of that hole, all you have to do is just find 3 people that you can call within 60 minutes. Hence the 360 formula. And I guarantee you that if you call those 3 people and tell them how thankful you are that they are part of your life, it is impossible that after the 60 minutes, you feel just as bad as you did before the 60 minutes. It works 100% of the time. Test me on it. And by the way, thank you, teachers. I hope that by 11:59 tonight, you will have thanked 3, or if possible, all of your teachers. Yes, they do need to hear it just as much as you do. And please recognize that if you are who you are today, it is partly because they were who they were yesterday and how they have impacted you. I too want to say thanks to all my teachers, to all the ones that are not here, and especially to the ones still around, Ms. Givler, Ms. Mount, Mr. Kennedy, and especially Mr. Badenhop. Yes, he was my teacher. He was my biology teacher. And he was great. My English was a lot worse at the time. I struggled with the language. I struggled with a lot of things. He made it great for me, and I appreciate that. I also want to thank my soccer coach and now friend, Ken Shank, an amazing person, an amazing man. I ended up going to school in Virginia thanks to his generosity for driving me down to Bluefield College, where I was offered a scholarship to play soccer. I turned it down in order to go to Eastern Mennonite University because I believe that's where I was supposed to go. And in a completely separate category, I want to thank 2 of my most beloved people in this world, Chris and Kathy Faust. My host family, whom to this day I still call Mom and Dad. My American mom, my American dad. You're incredible. I love you. And this leads me to my 4th piece of advice. Secret number 4 is that if society has given you your success, part of that success belongs to that society. After all the success I experienced with my company 8belts.com, I was asked to write a book sharing all the lessons learned. That book is called The 88 Steps of Success, and 50 days after its publication became Spain's #1 bestseller. Is that my own credit? Maybe, but only in part. I'm going to tell you the final story, and you're going to see why. Success is like a bird, and if the bird can fly, it's because it has 2 wings. The right wing represents everything that you have done to get to where you are today. All the hours of sweat, effort, studying, all the hours that you have worked, and all the tears that you have shed because of decisions you had to make. That wing is 100% your credit. However, we still have the left wing of the bird. And the left wing represents everything not that you have done for yourself, but that others have done for you. The right wing represents your self-confidence. The left wing represents your gratitude. If the bird can fly, it's because both wings are in perfect balance. My right wing concerning my book was the success of the book. My left wing is that I decided to give away the proceeds to children in an orphanage in China whom I felt needed the money more than I did. Why? Because if it's not shared, it's not success. I want to part by stating my mission statement for this life, hoping that it will somehow inspire you to draft your own. If at the end of my days, my life has only accumulated more wealth and more fame, my life will be a failure. But if it leaves a legacy in the world that makes the world a better place, my life will be a success. When you reach any sort of success, it's not the time to think, what have I done well? It's the time to think, whom should I thank the most? Gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Perez, for sharing those very inspirational words with our graduates. And now the moment we've all been waiting for. Superintendent Hall, Mrs. Haushalter, members of the Bellefontaine City Board of Education, faculty, parents, family members, and friends. I hereby certify